hit that subscribe button. Be sure to like, be sure to share, be sure to comment. Yeah. Say hey. Say hey, hey, woo! Hey, yeah! Say hey, woo! Say hey, yeah! Say hey, hey! Woo! Stake that hex, 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 stake that hex. Every time I look up, price went up. I go to the store, come back. Price went up. Every time I look up, price went up. No matter what I do, price still going up. Hell yeah. Ching, ching, motherfucker. Ching, ching. I am the book. Ching, ching, motherfucker. I just keep hitting jackpot after motherfucking jackpot.
Sorry about that. What's up, guys? It's BallietBran, and we also have IdentityBlock here as well. Today we're just having a kind of like a hangout, getting to know one of the Hexicans. So, feel free to say what's up, Identity.
Hey guys.
Awesome.
So hi to the Hexican community.
Hell yeah, dude! I know you're very active in all of the all of the streams. Myself, Discourse Syndicate, and Hexologists, and everyone else. So, thank you for all of that.
Yeah, I try. I really try. I enjoy it a lot. I enjoy the chat. Like I always tell everyone, I enjoy trolling the chat, keeping it light, keeping the chat moving, and everyone engaged. I think it's important. I think is that way we can keep it light. It's not always, shouldn't always be like, oh, price go up, price go down. How much should we make? Especially on this project, this product, we're going to be here for a minute. So it's good. It's a good thing to have a good community and good interactions. And I've noticed that a lot of the OGs have been asking for everyone to just show their face, like let everyone know that we are a community. We are, we are behind this product, and then that we want to see it go, go far.
Oh, it's super cool, man. I know as Hexicans and previously talking to you in the back room that you've been around in Hex for a while, and I've been around in Hex for a while, and it's it's always like a new level of, not a new level, but it's always some sort of new FUD that they try to like cook up. So when Hex first came out and Richard had the actual Telegram channel just growing and growing, a lot of the fear and uncertainty and doubt we'd hear from people is like, oh, you guys aren't real people, like you guys are all bots, and just the nonsense. And so I appreciate you coming out, man. It's cool that yourself and Benny and so many other people have done the same thing, and it really goes to show that we do have a big community.
Right. Yeah, for sure. I think that I remember some of that. I think I left the Telegram probably around that time, because I remember it was almost a lot of like little arguments. It was arguments about logo. It was arguments about should we have this name or that name attached. And I just remember thinking, well, why don't we just focus on what this ends up being, and then we'll. But I think all the decisions that have been made now were definitely positive. Mm-hmm. I think we're going in a great way. I think that the fact that we're still buying pre BPD days, it's crazy. So like everyone should be focusing on all those dips. Yeah. I've heard stuff about gas fees and all this stuff, and I've have a good, or what I think. I mean, it's been working for me. I just try to, if I'm going to do small buys, $100 or $200, I try to leave it at least to $200. That way, if there's like a 10% dip, I can take at least a $20 gas fee. And the moment that that price gets back, it's almost like it didn't cost me anything. So it's something that's been working for me. I hope that a lot more people think about it that way. It's like, I wouldn't want people to think, oh, wow, I didn't buy $150 T-share for not spending, for not spending $8, $10, $12, $20. I mean, if they're not thinking down the road, I feel that it's going to be those people that they're set like, oh, wow, I didn't buy like $3,000 Bitcoin. I didn't buy this. I didn't buy that. And they're probably going to regret it.
Yeah, it's so true, man. I hear just in general, like not even crypto related, but in general, I hear lots of excuses out when I'm in interacting with people or just in the world in general. And yeah, I think when you mentioned kind of like averaging in or waiting till 200 and whatnot, when you look at a T-share and say even like 200 at the most, you can even divide that by 3 and just stake for 10 years, do the longer pays better bonus. And then when you consider like the cost of a T-share, it's significantly less. But the other thing too is as Hexicans and in the product that we're in, the specific crypto, it's something that allows you to think, many years down the future and whatnot. But some people just in general, we're always on our phones, doing this and that. And we mentioned like social media and kind of like the addiction that can even happen with that, like all the notifications and whatnot, that some people they can't necessarily comprehend what 10 years down the road is going to be like, and locking up $100, 200, 5, 10. So it's really cool to see that we can at least lead by example, and not only can we lead by example, but we're going to be rewarded and have been rewarded for doing so.
True. I mean, anyone that's handled a 401k, IRA, any type of retirement fund, I've worked at financial institutions and I've had to push and sell money market accounts, IRAs, and all that type of savings. And it's hard. That's why I see the 9% stake right now. I see it as so normal, because I see it all the time in a financial institution where people would have 20, 30, 80, 100K in a checking account, losing every day to inflation.
Yeah.
Sometimes paying a monthly fee. So that also goes against you. And then we might have it might not be much. It might have been a 1%, 2% savings account, but at least they were making them something.
Right.
But they wouldn't take it. They wouldn't. So that's something that I know that Hex is going to have to push against, that mindset of that time frame of waiting and earning because of that delayed gratification. But once people start seeing that there's nothing else, I mean, there's just nothing else, not in legacy, not in crypto. I've been researching. I've been trying to get into metals for the last 8 years. I've been trying to research real estate. I've been researching any type of hard money, any type of capital asset. I've been looking, and that's why Hex makes so much sense, because all of a sudden it can change the way or your behavior. So all of a sudden you're thinking down the road, and I see it every day. I see it with Maddie. I see it with Joe. I see it like how all of a sudden you're like, whoa, let me not drink this, or let me not do that, or let me not do the other, because I want to have fun in 10 years. I don't want to just get money and then be like, oh, wow, well, now what I need to pay all these medical bills. It changes your behavior. So it's like, it's very cool product, what we're working with. And once a lot of people see that, then that's when the fun is really going to start happening, because that's when all the game theory is going to start kicking in, meaning when more people stake, when less people are selling, so it's going to be less dips, it's going to be harder to get in. And when those T-shirts start pumping into 4 digits, 5 digits, that's when I think it's going to be really fun.
I agree. I completely agree. I don't browse the Telegram as much as I'd like to. With all the different Hex social medias, it's enough time consumption as it is. But I was happy to catch Kareem, and he was talking about the T shares, and he kind of drew like a BTC to Ethereum chart, and was pretty much just saying that like with the bull market that we have, and with even like futures and whatnot with Ethereum and the T shares. And the long story short is he was saying the same thing that you're saying is, right now, 100 or 200, whatever the price ends up being for the T share is really dirt cheap when you compare it to a year from now. Like the Hex price versus USD went like 352x roughly, but versus the actual T share, it went up like 500x, and that stuff is kind of like it's even more like game theory to comprehend as well. And I think a lot of us, like, we're just a little bit over a year, and I try to tell some of the people that saw some of my early gains that like we are still so early, and this is nothing compared to this snowball. Like the snowball itself, it's the effect. It's rolling downhill, and it's just barely gotten big. We have so much to cover and to do, but right now it's a great time.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like right now, like wait till the institutions start coming in with their bags and all that. Because and I mean, not just that. It's just I want people to understand, because we always focus on what we've done and for this year, but people have to understand that Hex math scales. Meaning, if you put in $100, you're gonna get it. You're gonna get that math. Depends what you want to do. If you want to do 555, 444, but because I've noticed a lot of videos, we focus on all that. We focus on, well, yeah, we've made all this X, we've done all this money, we've done all this stuff. But people have to understand, we're at a cent, we're at less than now $150 T share. If there's any type to bring on more people, bring on your family, let them know, hey guys, how much did you make at your bank last year? And then try to let them understand also about the Fisher equation or the Fisher effect, to let them know, even if you made 5%, if you were paying this amount on your monthly account, or if you're paying this much in inflation, you actually lost money. Like it might only be 1%, 2%, but most of the years they'll say that. They'll be like, oh no, I made 3%. You're like, oh yeah, no, you lost money then.
Right. Yeah. When they say they made 3%, they didn't actually factor all of the other things that you mentioned. And it's I'm glad that like I'm 24 and always trying to learn, but when I really, you mentioned kind of silvers and assets and whatnot too. When I really kind of got into understanding finance and fractional reserve banking and just how the dollar works and all these other currencies work, I kind of realized, like, to your point, like, why would you just leave your money getting diluted in a checking account, especially if you've got, 5,000, 10, whatever the amount is that you can kind of like start off with? Why would you let it just get reduced in value when there's other avenues that you can have your money work for you? And I'm not necessarily like an entrepreneur or anything. My brothers have owned businesses, and my parents did real estate for such a long time. But at least where I always wanted to go was into like some sort of passive income, or some sort of thing that would kind of help me get an advantage. And that's what Hex does, is it allows everyone to. We mentioned earlier the whale penalty, but Hex gives everyone that opportunity of like a level playing field.
Yeah. No, for sure. I mean, like anyone that would come in today and then would understand at least what they're doing. Obviously, if not, they're not going to get penalized if they understand the basics. And if they understand that there could be also price appreciation plus the fact that their time value, it's rewarded. It wouldn't matter. So I know that, like, I know Benny was yesterday on Rec Pirate, and he sometimes still talks about coming in late or so and so, and he got lucky because he got the BPD dip. So I keep telling him I've checked when he came in, and I was like, you basically came in April. You know, it's like his average was around April. And every so often we're gonna get these little dips that if people, instead of freaking out, just put in a few bucks and don't think about gas fees that day or whatever, and they'll be like, in 3 or 4, like whoever put in money in the last like 2 days, they're good today.
Right.
So and they already made a little bit of money, and they made their gas fee, and now it's, you know, whatever comes up. So I don't know. It's just, I feel that we're gonna miss a few opportunities if we focus on the little things instead of looking at the big picture. And then if whoever caught the dip yesterday and then already did a 3641 or did a 555, they're already in the money because they're already made their fee, and it's whatever they get in 10 years. So it's just that we need to start thinking bigger picture, I think.
Mm-hmm. I agree, man. Yeah, definitely bigger picture is kind of the way to be thinking. And for anyone, yeah, that might have like, you know, to your point, like, oh, I got in too late, or there's always like shoulda, coulda, woulda. Like even some of the people that I know that are in other stuff that were like, oh, if I would have just held this for, you know, this much longer and blah blah blah, and it's like, well, you didn't. And Richard's mentioned it before that if you play that game with yourself, and you know, you say it to other people too, like just the possibilities of those things, those instances happening are infinite. And you should, it's better to focus on things that you can control. And when you mention like whenever there's like a price dip or there's volatility downwards, some people, their gut reaction, a lot of people buy and sell based off their emotions, but their gut reaction is like, oh, this isn't a time that I should be buying. Like a lot of people don't do that, and that's why the people that do like buy when there's blood on the streets and stuff like that, they do better, you know.
Yeah, for sure. The only problem I always have with that is I always run out of fiat too quick.
Same here, man. I thought the dip was
yeah, I'll be a 12% dip or something, and I'm like, yes, I got it. And then when the second that hits like 20, I'm like, what did I do that for? DCA, come on, bro, you know better. But yeah, I mean, anyone doing that, I think that Hex has given us such great opportunities on the dips, given us great opportunities that anyone coming in today, it's almost like they have so much more benefits now because they have all the history of us for 1 year. Everyone that's made some gains, anyone that can show how the APY is working, how the emergency end state works, how can some people use it to their advantage, some people can use it to wreck themselves. So, I mean, anyone that's coming in today, I think they have so much more benefits than we did because we were going in blind. We didn't know what was going to happen. We didn't know if no agency was going to stop the project as it's coming up and all this stuff. So I think we have all the positives. I think that one of the negatives that we do have, and it's not towards Hex, it's more towards crypto. It's something that I wanted to share with you. I have the tweet here. So
yeah, if you want, you can. You should be able to, towards the where the camera is, you should be able to do share screen, and then I should be able to. And I think when you do it, you can do like application window. That way, it's not showing like.
All right.
The full screen itself. So yeah, we can do add to stream. Perfect.
I wanted to share this from Janet Yellen. Because I mean, this is who we have as the Secretary of Treasury, like the nominee. So let's see what she has to say.
This was my fear. Here, back out of this. We're gonna have to let me remove this. Let's. There is actually one last button I think that we need to press when we share the screen here. Let's see.
Oh, the audio.
Yeah. It
was like super low. Sorry. It's like
oh, my bad. It wasn't sharing the audio. Let's see if I can.
There you go. Yeah, I had it like super low.
Okay, it might still not be going. Let's see if it's going.
Okay, cool.
If the audio works.
cryptocurrencies are a particular concern. I think many are used, at least in the transactions sense, mainly for illicit financing. And I think we really need to examine ways in which we can curtail their use and make sure that anti-money laundering doesn't occur through those channels. Cryptocurrencies
So
are
basically, she's just saying that that crypto is being used for illicit financing. I mean, we already know the numbers. We already know how little it is. We know how much cash is used for illicit activity. But I wanted to share that because I fear that that's going to be the new FUD. You know, they're going to put her, and then she's going to try to do whatever. And then I think I don't even understand how they're going to let someone that was working for for the Fed, so working for a private agency, and now it's going to run the government side. It's crazy. It's like she's going to know all the tricks of the trade from the other side, and I don't think it's going to be a good thing for. I don't know. I think there's so many other nominees. I mean, they could have done, but
Right. No, I know what you mean. Yeah, there's crypto wouldn't be crypto without some sort of like FUD that I was saying. Like, and some of it substantial, some of it unsubstantial. But yeah, I remember in like 2017, during that kind of like top of that market cycle and that bull run where people like Jamie Dimon and Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger were, oh, it's worse than rat poison, and same thing with Jamie Dimon, but it just goes to show you that, first off, just in general, I always kind of see like, okay, what people say and then what they do, and sometimes they're completely the opposite. But it just goes to show you that at least those of us that are kind of in Hex and in the crypto community and kind of been around for a while, at least to my knowledge, in Hex, we're on the right side of history. We're whatever the FUD has been so far, even through Hex, has been completely dismissed and proven false. And so, to your point, yeah, there's definitely more bullish or not so bullish people that could be running that right now, and that's a pretty popular little skit that's been played a lot.
Yeah, for sure. I just kind of wanted everyone to know because she used to work for the Fed. Mm-hmm. So it's like I don't like when those two get together, and I feel that this last 4 years, a lot of people didn't know, but Mnuchin on the Treasury and then Powell from the Fed, they used to work together. They're all buddies from Wall Street, and that's it should always work that the Fed and the government are working separate, and the more that they work together, the worse it is for everyone, because then all of a sudden there's no check and balances. There's just basically the government runs the Fed. So
true. And then real quick, I kind of wanted to side spin because I know you and I before Hexo ended kind of spoke for a few minutes in the green room, but maybe for anyone that isn't familiar, because I've seen, like I said, your username a lot, the IdentityBlock, and everyone's chat rooms and whatnot. Can you maybe, for those that haven't, can you like maybe introduce yourself or kind of, say how long you've been in crypto or Hex to the 36 people that are watching maybe?
Sure. So the name IdentityBlock I registered back in 2013. I wanted to create a company to help victims of identity theft and financial fraud. Whenever I moved to the States in 2007 from Puerto Rico, I had been a victim of identity theft. So I had to learn all the ins and outs, talking to the Federal Trade Commission, talking to all the credit bureaus, talking to Social Security. Countless hours talking to Social Security, talking to all these people to try to clear the old data that was, it wasn't me. It was fraudulent data. And little after that, I started working for financial institutions here in Missouri. I would shadow with the other departments, meaning legal or loss prevention, any department that I could learn from, or just try to use for my own advantage. And then I started learning, and I figured, hey, I can do this. I can help people. I can tell them, hey, don't pay for a lawyer. I mean, I remember the first time I suffered in like '07. The first thing I did was contact a lawyer up in New York. He said, give me like $4,500. I was like, I don't have that type of money. And later on, I figured out that my case was so bad that if I had given him $4,500, that was actually going to be good, because I'm sure he would end up charging me 15, 20 grand, because it took me like 3 years between contacting the different agencies and doing all the different reports until I got cleared with Social Security and all that stuff. And that's something I've been doing for the last now 7-8 years, just helping people even for free. Just, hey, contact FTC, contact this, contact that, put a credit freeze, just the basics, because I figured that I could help someone and just save them like thousands of dollars with just the one call, one text. And then when it comes to crypto, I the first time I ever found or learned about crypto was like in 2011. Like from Max Kaiser and his show back then on RT. And I never took it serious. I used to play way too many video games and stuff to think that digital currencies could be a thing. I just remember thinking it's too whatever. It was way over my head back then. 2014, I kind of started following the crypto scene, crypto sphere, but again, never got into it, didn't do anything. And then when 17 came in, I just FOMO'd in like everyone else, bought the top, like probably like, I think I got lucky because I think I came in at like $4,000, $5,000 in December. And it just pumped so quick within like a few weeks or days. But I just didn't know anything about crypto, hadn't gotten into it, hadn't done all the research that I should have been doing. And then IdentityBlock, the channel, started doing videos in Spanish at the bear market in 18 because I wanted to learn. So it was never about views or anything like that. It was more about having that digital, like digital record or whatever of the bear market. And I remember like my first videos when it was like maybe October or November of 2018, and then Bitcoin was like at 5,000 on its way to 3,000 or something like that. And then everybody hated Bitcoin. Like I remember at that point, I was like, I went to Puerto Rico and I was going to do this. It was like going to be like a presentation called Restart Week in Puerto Rico. I'm from Puerto Rico. So I figure I'll go back home. I'll be down there for a week, do this presentation on digital identity in the blockchain, and just try to get into the crypto community. But cool. I ended up not doing that. I actually ended up doing like a presentation with my cousin, and he's had like a senior class about to go to college. None of them knew anything about blockchain, Bitcoin, programming, trying to tell them, get into programming. There's this thing called blockchain, learn about Ethereum, learn about Solidity, learn about anything that I could tell them to try to guide them into, because some of them were thinking about going to college and just getting into a bunch of debt and all this stuff. And so we started doing those videos. We just started trying to teach people how to not get wrecked, how to not buy the top, how to not FOMO, how to not, teaching them about hard money, teaching them about taxes. That's another thing I've been doing. I've been doing a lot of taxes and all that with H&R Block.
Nice, dude. So
been learning about crypto taxes for the last 2 or 3 years. Been working with a company from Israel called BitTax. Cool. And so that's about it. Like I've been doing a little bit of everything. This year was super slow with taxes. So I got with Ms. Alice Sam, and she was doing stablecoin book. So she wanted to do it in Spanish. I told her, hey, I'll make that happen. And we got that book in Spanish. And now about to get into other type of books. We want to do like crypto textbook. We want to do a second version of the stablecoin guide. And just trying to stay busy, man, on the crypto scene.
That's cool, man. And how long have you been in Hex since pretty early on? We were speaking earlier, right?
Actually, I got in day 18. I'm
nice,
day
dude.
18.
Nice, man.
The thing was, like, I understood when Richard was saying don't FOMO in. I figured it out really quick. And the thing was, I was broke. I was broke, so I could not make my first purchase of Hex not count.
Right.
So exactly. I noticed I was gonna go in like day 4, day 5. But then since I saw how big of a dip went from day 1 to day 2, meaning on AA or intro of ETH, I was like, I think if I wait 2 weeks, that'll be the and I mean, it was, in my opinion, it was really good because, like I said, I didn't have much ETH. I didn't have no Bitcoin to claim. So I wanted to make sure that it counted. And I'm on day 18 and just started putting a little bit. I DCA'd. Then during what I really regret is like some of the times of the year I did kind of like just completely got out of crypto. Like I was just done for a minute of 19, just needed like, to leave the scene like that. And it's funny because that's when all kinds of stuff started happening. Like when Hexo got kicked off of YouTube, when RG3 started doing this course. I would watch some of Hexo's videos when he got kicked off, but instead of watching him on D Live, I would watch him on YouTube, which I think he would get like 2 views on YouTube.
Yeah.
Sorry,
on D Live.
Facebook.
Oh, okay.
Hexo used to do like a Facebook Live. He used to get like 2 views or something. So I would watch him on Facebook.
Nice.
And but then not so much on D Live. So that's why I kind of like disconnected myself from there. And then I want to say maybe 2 months before Big Payday, that's when I was like, man, like I've noticed that that where it was on D Live and all this stuff. And that's where, RG3 and Discord was in. And then I started getting into the community. And so it's kind of like not like I was new, but then I was like new into like the chats and into the whole social media. I had like my Twitter since like whenever, but never used it. So now it's like I'm getting more into using it, and then just connecting with the Hex community because it's different. It doesn't feel like anything. In like 2017 where it was like the whole partnership scene. Like everyone knew of someone that talked to someone and they were going to do a partnership. Or it was like very toxic back then, like very, very toxic. They said the price would pump. Everybody was happy in the chats. That price would dip. Everybody was just so mean and so this and that. So in the Hex community, it's just different. It feels like we're going to be here for a while. So we're just going to ride all the different up and downs.
It's so true. I mean, we've not even in traditional finance or ever have we seen something like what Hex is doing, where not only like in crypto is it like staking and stuff like that, but the actual time lock part of it is hard locked, and it forces you. It either forces you or punishes you. It forces you to kind of do what you said you were going to do when you do the stake by the penalties that would happen if you ended early, and it's really cool, man. I know. I know you kind of mentioned like some of the hype, I guess, around 2017 and kind of like the time that like crypto was in, and it's cool that we had Richard had like a bear market to develop Hex and like get it out there, because when you said you were kind of like taking a little break, a little hiatus from crypto, I did the same thing like before I got into Hex, and I was kind of like all just done with crypto in general. Like I had held through, held through the bear market, and then it's just like, okay, it's kind of like the psychology of a market cycle or something, where there's all of the different emotions on the chart, but I was kind of like when Bitcoin was at 30, 33 or 3,000 something. Like I remember Richard had we finally had like the snapshot for Hex at the time. So it's really cool the way that everything worked and the timing. But I know from what you and I were talking earlier, sometimes whether it be like real estate or stocks or anything that's got like a market cycle, it seems that people that like get in when they first get in, or when they really get in, kind of buy like the top, it seems, from what I've noticed. And sometimes that happens to people and it turns them off completely, where they're like, fuck this, it is a scam and it is a bubble and whatnot. And then, their paradigm and their perception of reality came true. And then, for others, it's just a market cycle. It's going to go up eventually. But that's really cool to hear your crypto experience, man. It's always cool to meet other Hexicans and, on stream and whatnot. And I know you're on the effing Hangout the other day, so it's cool, man. It's cool to see you.
And another thing, Brent, like the bad part is that it's happening again. Like people are buying the top, and they're buying the paper top. They're buying Robinhood Bitcoin, PayPal Bitcoin, and it's not going to be good, because eventually they're going to rehypothecate that Bitcoin. There's going to be 40, 50 million people or people with Bitcoin, and there's not enough Bitcoin for all that. Like I bet that's going to end up happening, because since they don't need to have it, banks don't need to have reserve limits now or cap or whatever they have it, but they're playing with Bitcoin already. That's why I knew right away that there was something was happening in the summer when Bitcoin just like stuck at 9,000. It was like it wouldn't get out of that rut. So it wouldn't go down, but it wouldn't go up either. And I was like, this is not looking normal. And the second that they said, oh, banks can like do crypto holdings, or basically like they can hold Bitcoin, they're going to do the same things. That's why you see billions of dollars in volume in Bitcoin, but so little coins. And it's the same. I mean, the banks are going to do the same things that they used to do in legacy. They're going to trade that coin for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And people are just going to keep buying the paper, the paper coin. They're just going to be like, oh, cool, sure. I'll have it on Coinbase, but never ask for my key. I'll have it on Robinhood, but I don't hold no Bitcoin. So
it's crazy.
It's going to happen again.
No, it's so true, man. And to your point, where there's like a fallacy where they think that, oh, I'm doing the crypto stuff, or even with the stocks that are rehypothecated, and you don't actually get a certificate. But yeah, that's true. It goes to kind of show you where we're at in just in general, that we're still really early. Because like a lot of the people that I have that are coworkers that I work with, they're like, they'll say they're doing crypto, or they'll say they're doing stocks, and they're doing Robinhood the whole time. And when you mention crypto and when you mention exchanges, Johnny even says it here, like fractional reserve crypto, the same thing but a different system. This is why it is so important for anyone that's listening that might not be aware. The private keys that show that you have possession, when you leave them on an exchange, and when you leave your crypto on an exchange, it's technically in their hot wallets and in their wallets, and it's not technically yours until if you got like a hardware wallet, or you got like a MetaMask or something. But it's technically not yours, in my opinion, until you actually bring it into that digital physical possession where you have control over it, and where it's not getting hacked, or a hot wallet's getting compromised.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, and that's going to probably take another cycle. It's going to take another cycle of people getting wrecked, people buying $50,000 Bitcoin. And then when they're going to try to get it out of Robinhood, they tell them like, yeah, well, you need to sell it now for 20, or you need to sell it for whatever it dips, And then I think that's what's going to happen. A lot of people are going to But it's going to be the same thing that happened to us when we started learning about crypto and then didn't took it seriously. We got wrecked. We were buying the tops. We were buying everyone else's bags. And I mean, if anyone started learning about Hex, that's a lot. That's going to be a benefit because it's going to be like, all right, we'll buy it, leave it, and then come get it whenever your stakes are done. So I mean, I think it's a great market for us to bring in no coiners because of that, because of the fact that we don't have to tell them, hey, learn about this. Then the next day you're gonna have to get into the charts. You know, imagine us telling people like, oh look, yeah, go now get hooked up with charts now too, and all this stuff. I mean, but with Hex, if we just tell them, hey, if you know, tie it up for 3 years, you don't even look at the price for 3 years, you know, and then come back in 3 years, get your gains or put them into longer. But it's so much better than telling someone that, because if you bring someone into crypto, it's I mean, it's still the wild west out there, you know, depending on what channels they're watching, what influencers. Of course, the day that they make 10%, they're going to feel that they're like Warren Buffett, you know, kicking ass in Wall Street. And then they're going to take those gains and then get wrecked in some other shit coin that's pumping that day. So I mean, I think that's another reason I wanted to just start like doing streams for Hex and all this stuff. And it's because I feel that it's important that we start separating crypto and Hex. Like we start bringing more people to the whole. This is a blockchain certificate of deposit, and you control it. You get to plan your retirement, and I love that part. You know, I've been watching what's happening with retirement in Puerto Rico right now for government employees, and it's horrible. You know, it's basically like they have like a bank account, and then they're telling them, you guys are your own retirement, but then you go and invest it in Wall Street, and you know they're going to get wrecked. They're gonna buy everything CNBC tells them to buy on the wrong day, and those retirements are not gonna go nowhere. Because I've done the math, and it's between like $6 and $10 depending on what position they had. And if that money starts going down instead of up, I mean, how much can you do with $10,000? Right,
man. Well, it's true. And as far as crypto goes, and as far as an asset goes in general, unless they've got like prior knowledge of bond or certificate of deposits and whatnot, usually the concept of just like buying something and locking it and having it just sit kind of dormant but still earning interest seems like a foreign concept for people. And it's just crazy, like the way that Hex works. I mean, with the actual payout per T-share and how it works, and how it's just a smart contract that is giving you like the Hex that you deserve from that day. It's so cool. Like we've literally never seen anything to my knowledge in traditional finance or even crypto where there is something like Hex, where it's got, you know, no administration keys, you know, no middlemen, but you're still getting so many more features than you'd have even with centralization. And it's really cool, man, kind of where we're going into. But I agree, most people, they do unfortunately need to learn those lessons themselves. You know, you can lead the horse to the water, well, but you can't necessarily force it to drink. So
some people just need the bank security, need those 4 letters, FDIC, even if they don't understand that they don't have enough money to cover everyone. Like if Legacy were to collapse, they don't have enough money to cover more than 2-3 banks. And people just keep buying into that. They buy into the whole, this is what we've been doing for the last 107, about to be 108 years. And, you know, they like what they like. They don't understand that the way Hex can pay those high APYs and all that interest, because that's how much it actually costs to pay Legacy. That's how much it costs to keep the lights on a bank and pay the managers and pay their bonuses and pay any type of dividend. And people don't understand that if we remove that middleman, then all of a sudden, hey, we can actually make some money on this thing. We can actually put money away for 5 years and make money. Because a lot of people in Europe, Japan, I'm sure Papa B can tell you about that. In Japan, they have negative rates. So people put the money in the bank just so that if somebody breaks in the house, they don't take their money. Is the only thing I'm assuming they're doing. Because if not, then just put it under the mattress. Why else would you put it in the bank? You know, if you're getting negative rates, so you're not only fighting inflation, you're fighting like actual negative rates. You're telling the bank, here, hold the money, and in 5 years, give me less money. What? That don't make no sense. But once they start understanding Hex and understanding what it can be, and that your time delay it's gonna get some type of gratification, and you're gonna get rewarded by that, then it's gonna be like free promotion for us.
I agree completely, and I know we talked about it a little bit before the actual stream started, but I agree. Like when you present Hex as what it is, which in reality it's designed to do what it was intended to do, which is staking. You know, it's designed to be ideally locked up, and then treat it like the way that Kareem kind of has mentioned it before is like it's kind of like similar to like a 401k where you're not supposed to access it until you're a certain age and all this stuff. So just in general, if people can take that traditional system that they're familiar with, and if they can apply some of those similar concepts to something like Hex, where for me, like the actual, like the EES button, the emergency end stake, like that's like when I'm staking and when I set something up, it's never with the intent of like, oh, this is a possibility. Like for me, I try to set it up where that'll kind of, never kind of be an option. But just the point that it's similar to that 401k or certificate of deposit where it should kind of be treated that way. And people that stake, in regards to the way that I was kind of saying, I think we'll do a little bit better than those just trying to like short compound and trying to get the little bit of interest. But we'll see.
That it's probably going to take like 2 years, 3 years. Like once people see for 3 years, oh wow. For me on staking at 90%, even if it was at 2 years, me losing that 10%, it was all this much, especially people that are going to lose their BPD bonus. The way I keep saying, and I keep saying it in the chat all the time, anyone complaining or anyone that had complaints about BPD, it's like you're going to get it if you wait. If you did a 555, just wait 15 years. You're going to, whatever you saw at one point, you're going to get. But if they instinct, they're obviously not going to get it. They're going to get a percentage. Sure, it's going to look like it's a lot, but it's not going to be what it could be. And then anyone doing, that's why like the other day I kept hearing something about people asking about EES and all this stuff. I just don't think it's worth it at no point in time. Even at 98, 99%, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
I got lucky and I did EES at before Big Payday because I had screwed myself. I didn't understand T-shares. So I had done a bunch of T-shares for maybe like 15 months. So everything was coming out soon and like after March or whatever. And then I noticed, oh, wow, I'm going to screw myself. So at that point, they were like at 70 something percent. I ended up getting my principal, got a little bit of interest, but then I freaking chalked them like 13 years. And that's when I did like, I think it was like 400% more T-shares before BPD. So I ended up getting all these Genesis shares that I wasn't going to get because I didn't understand the product at the moment. So for me, it worked, but it was because I did it at that point in time. And the other thing I got lucky, it was in September when I did, there was a dip in T-shares. So I got like the second lowest T-share day that day, and then threw it 13 years in the future. But then anyone else doing that, they're going to probably do it on a day the T-shirts are going to be $400, $500, $600, $1,000. So it's not going to be worth it in my mind. Plus, I got lucky, like I said, because the T-shirts after that just started just going up and up and up. So
that's cool. And I kind of had a similar experience where I had a lot of my bags and stakes similar to yours where like the first year after big payday, they were ending. At least a majority of them, and did the same thing. But I agree, that was kind of like circumstantial, and now we're not in that environment anymore. It's not big payday and all this stuff, and And to anyone that was asking those questions, if they did have any big payday bonus, like I
It's
don't
not
think
worth
some of
it.
those people realize you're going to be nuked so much more if you it's one thing if you didn't qualify for big payday bonus and then 50% of your time served, but yeah, if you did qualify for that bonus and it's treated like interest, and that's part
Yeah.
of the part that plays against you. But I guess
Right.
as far as Hex goes, yeah, like do you have we've kind of chit chatted a little bit about it. Is there anything like your favorite thing about Hex, or like do you have any people that you've gotten into it, or do you have any comments on that regard?
I've gotten a few of my buddies in. I got a few of my cousins in. That's been, I mean, the thing is, most of my family, they're bankers. So it's
Mm-hmm.
just they wouldn't touch Hex, but they wouldn't touch Bitcoin. They wouldn't touch anything crypto. They're more old school, that's their thing. I mean, I've been trying to tell them since I remember at a point I wouldn't touch Bitcoin. And I remember Bitcoin was like at $400 back in like 2012 or something. I remember telling my folks, like, hey, I think this thing is going to be big. Like, I think if you guys drop $1,000 on this, and back then it would have been like 2.5 coins.
Mm-hmm.
And at today's value, almost 100K for spending a grand. And they still, I mean, I can still tell them, and they'll look at the one day that dips like 10%, and they'll be like, yep, that's why I won't touch it. And it's like, cool. I mean, that's, more power to them. They like, a different type of asset. But I see this as this is the future. This is where we're going. And it's going to be either we control our own assets, or then governments are going to be like, here you go. Here's the Fed coin. Here's the whatever. Here's USDC. Here's, and it's already there. And most of the financial institutions either control part of these coins, or control part of Tether, or control part of USDC, or control part of any other stable coin. So it's just a matter of what do we control, And I think that Hex gives us all that liberty.
Right. No, I completely agree. I mean, yeah, whenever you're in a environment, I mean, Bitcoin kind of came out in the prime time before the recession and whatnot, and same thing with like Hex. It happened to come out like kind of in perfect time for the bull market cycle that we're doing. But yeah, it's a unique circumstance, man. I before, like when I got into crypto and before Hex, I was really passionate about it, but would never make I'd never even consider like making a YouTube video or showing my face in those crypto communities. And it's really cool that with Hex, not only for myself, but yourself and a lot of these other people in the community have had that opportunity where it's different than everything else. It's and not only is it different and better designed and more safe and whatnot, but it was the top performing asset of 2020. Like nothing else outperformed it. That's such a big feat and amazing thing to be able to say.
And I think it's going to be the best asset of 21 too. I keep researching other cryptocurrencies, and I just don't see anything out there that could, just not in hype, not in delivery either. So, I mean, once I see it, I might change my mind. But then in the meantime, I see what we have. And I think that the sky's the limit. We need to start. I think what we need to start doing is just hold people accountable. Because I think that the fact that it's already been a year, now it's been a month since a year, and we're still not, I saw the article the other day talking about Hex as the number one asset, and that was cool. But then where's everyone else? Where's all the influencers? Where's the media? Where's the regular media? Like right now, they're talking about is like politics and like the markets and all this stuff, but I don't see anyone talking about Hex, and I just don't see what other asset could even get close to it. Because I remember in 16, I remember in 17 that anyone could just drop anything. It could just be a rumor, it could be a tweet, Like I remember, I remember a founder could just drop a tweet by accident or something. It could be a butt dial tweet, and you would see someone trying to decipher it at the hour that it was done and who they were talking the day before and connecting all the dots and all this stuff. And then you're like, so where's all that for Hex? Because there's nothing else in crypto right now.
So true, man. Yeah, it's kind of like a leader in the space, and it after Hex was launched, that kind of, I mean, Uniswap was launched like a week and a half, 2 weeks after, and those two kind of have led the DeFi like craze and all that stuff. But what it comes down to is it's really the safest thing you could put your economic energy into, not only in crypto, but sometimes you mention like, oh, the FDIC is only, I don't know, you kind of got to read the fine print maybe when it comes to that maybe, but I don't know too much about that to kind of speak on it, but it's definitely the best.
To be honest, if you read the small print, that's when they'll get you though, because the small print, what actually says is that they'll cover you up to 250K, but then you're assuming that they're going to cover everything that you have if you have other accounts. So, for example, if you wanted to cover more than 250, if you want to cover 500,000, you have to have two accounts. But then the thing is, that's if you're lucky and they pay you first. But let's say that 3 banks, 4, 5, 10 banks go down, they're not going to have enough money. Like they would just have to print that money out and dilute everyone else, but FDIC just doesn't have. They basically have trillions to cover, but then they only have billions in their reserves. So
good point.
One goes down at the same time. They couldn't pay everyone. So
right, that's a good point. As far as you and your staking, do you and you don't have to share if you don't want to, but do you do like a ladder, or what were you saying earlier about?
The thing is, like at first, when I did that 13-1 September, I still wasn't laddering. So I just kind of threw like my 2 big stakes. Mm-hmm. I actually threw them for the same year. So that year is going to be a fun year.
Yeah.
But now it's when I've been doing more laddering. I've done a ladder for my daughter. I've done a ladder for my girlfriend. I've done some other things. And then it's almost like I'm learning, Mm-hmm. So at first it was more like, I just remember whenever I would get t-shirts and all that for the first like 3-4 months or whatever, I was like, this just seems like it means something. Like they just wouldn't put all this here if it doesn't mean anything. But I just couldn't figure it out. And like I said, since I wasn't like watching Discourse, I wasn't watching anything else, I was just kind of And then I remember watching one video that Richard did, that he's the one that kind of mentioned that, hey, if you guys were to do this, this might happen and this and the other. And I was like, whoa, like, light bulb. And because that's when I figured, oh, crap, because after BPD, I'm not going to be able to come back and get this, Mm-hmm. So that's when it just kind of clicked. But before that, I just didn't know. And at that point, all I was thinking was like, all right, let me just throw them out in the future and see where that goes.
No, that's cool, man. And I kind of have like a similar background too. Like I know before Big Payday, I mean, I watch Hexologist every day and participate in the community enough to know like what most people are kind of thinking. And my thought with the actual share rate itself, I mean, we kind of saw it spike to like 1.6, and then, that obviously never goes down. But a lot of us were kind of thinking like, oh, it's going to be, 20, 30,000 hex and whatnot for a T-share. And that'll happen sometime in the future. But it was cool that after Big Payday happened, especially a couple of days after it kind of settled and started going back up, it was really cool to see that you can still stake and you can still ladder and whatnot, and it's not sure, it's a little bit more expensive, but the value is still, it's totally there, man. And so for my brother's girlfriend, same thing, and even my brother's their friends that are older that like have kids, I set a couple of them up with staking wallets and pretty much just did Quattro Cinco for them, because it's like, okay, you're going to be 16 or 17 when you get this, like that'll be plenty enough time for you,
Right.
So it's cool that you can do that.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I mean, that's awesome that we can plan so far ahead and then just calculate it that way so that we can get those payoffs in the future. And it's just, I've never seen anything like it. You know, even like I said, even when they would give you a little bit of freedom to mess with your 401k, it's like they would only give you enough freedom to like screw yourself up investing in the wrong asset. But so there was no actual, you know, freedom. There was no for you to choose your actual retirement in a smart way.
Right. No, that's true. And you mentioned as well another point that I wanted to comment on is when I asked about like the staking ladder and or like how do you stake, and it's such a broad question to kind of, you know, get the feels out there, but to kind of reciprocate that question to myself, like my biggest stakes even now, my biggest stakes are some of the first stakes that I started where it's like, okay, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but let's just chuck this out there. And I look at them now because they're all the way out there. They're Quattro Cinco. But I look at them now and it's like, holy fuck, dude, I kind of did it right. Like I accidentally fell into some gold right here where Hex was cheap back then and had staked a lot of T-shares for that amount of time. But I feel like even still some people in the community, you know, we know like, oh, the T-share, it's all about the T-shares and how the share rate works and whatnot. But Gary even mentioned, Gary Funding Jim, who's going to have a stream in an hour, he mentioned like that he didn't really realize how the T-shares and whatnot worked until he had a stake that was pretty big payday, and he ended it, and now he tried to get more Hex with that stake and interest, and it's like, oh, you'd have to stake it out like Quattro Cinco or maximize those shares just to get a similar share rate or just a little bit higher. So for the people that that might not comprehend it all the way now, I think eventually over time they'll start seeing how important the significance is of the shares and how that actual rate never goes down, and just so many things in Hex are a constant learning journey. I mean, you mentioned kind of updating your worldview as things were changing, and I think that's kind of what we've all done collectively. Like I've noticed a lot of us growing in in knowledge and in areas, and it's cool that I have a community and that we have a community that we can, you know, chat to that are like-minded, and that we can kind of like kind of talk about and speculate about, like and even just admire when it comes to Hex and things like that. So it's cool. For sure. I mean, I feel the same way. I feel lucky every night. I'm watching all these different live streams and learning so much about everyone, learning about world views, because we're watching now shows from like Germany, Australia, and it's so cool that we're interacting. We're in the same product, and we can just, I call it the Hex Mastermind Alliance. So that way it's almost like we're all putting in a little bit, and then it's working. We're pulling from the same direction. So it's a good thing. It's cool. Well, yeah, in Hex, it in itself has been working exactly how it was designed to. Like it's really cool that I'm always kind of like constantly watching like old Richard videos when there's nothing new to watch, and I'm always like watching videos multiple times and trying to like learn something over again. But I kind of just blanked on what I was going to say, but yeah, pretty much we're constantly learning in Hex, and let me just address some of these comments real quick while I regain that thought. So Bitfinesse, he's in the chat, and he says, "Damn, she works for the Treasury. Her background sucks." Let's see, David. David looks like Bunga. Todd LaRousse. We got Chris. All of the Hexarican. I think he's in Puerto Rico as well. Maybe Hexarican. And you said you're from Puerto Rico. That's where. Yes, sir. Nice, born and raised. Like I was born in the island. Cool. Moved to the States in 2007. So I started working, I was working for Disney in 2007. And so that's when I left the island. Then I moved to Missouri, and now I've been here for since 2009. So about to be like 12 years now. Nice. Just stayed here. I have a daughter here in Missouri. So cool,
I'm here for now. Always thinking about going back to the island. So it's so funny every time I'm in the chats and I hear that Gary's in Puerto Rico and Franklin and a few of the guys and I hear all their stories and whatnot because that's my plan. It's just to go back home. For me, it's not just about taxes. It's about that's where my family's at and Puerto Rico is home. So I just can't wait.
That's cool, man. There truly is like nothing like home, and especially when you're more far away than you're used to. I agree. That's cool that you have intentions of going back sometime in the future. I know with myself even like at first the thought was like, man, that'll be in a couple of years that if I do this for tax advantages and benefits
Right.
that'll happen. But then you see like, oh, I didn't expect Hex to do 352x like over dollar, and it's not like all my stakes are ending anytime soon. They're kind of just as the years go on. But it's cool. I never thought I would be in a position, especially since I've never owned a business. I've always kind of just worked jobs, but been passionate about investing. Never thought I'd be like in that situation where that can actually be like plausible, where it's like, we're doing this Puerto Rico thing, and it's really cool that we just do have this community because I'm obviously one of the younger people in the community, and there's people that are younger than me too. But I think this opportunity for like myself, like it's something that I'm trying to take to like full advantage of. Like I've got 3 older brothers, and my dad was influential as well growing up. But I always cherished like people that were older than me, that had more experience than me, and that I could like learn from, And
Right.
so it's cool to have people on here and be able to learn from people like yourself and everything else.
Yeah, I mean, like the tax implications are going to be huge. Like once people understand the way crypto is taxed in the States, the way that you could get that benefit in Puerto Rico if you were to be a business owner, and then you're taxed that way once you're grandfathered in. I think Act 2022. I mean, I'm sure Gary could talk more about this because he's part of that scene right now in Puerto Rico. But I think it's grandfathered into like 2035. So anyone on a Cuatro Cinco, I mean, it just lands so perfect because you could basically start a business there within the next 5 so years, get that grandfathered in, and then whenever you're actually going to get those stakes out, already be under that umbrella. Because I mean, anything could happen. Like the only reason I'm trying to do it now as an ASAP is because I know it could just take like a treasury call and just say, hey, end that program, and then people like Gary, they would already be grandfathered in till 2035, but then anyone new would probably just be like, all right, no, you can't do it anymore. So seeing that type of stuff happen in Puerto Rico, especially with big corporations, like they did something called Section 936 a few years back. And I mean, it was so detrimental to the economy that a bunch of firms and companies just picked up and left. They just started going to Singapore, going Dominican Republic, just going anywhere but staying in Puerto Rico, because all of a sudden all these tax benefits that they had for more than a few decades, they were done. So they just grabbed their stuff and left. That was probably between like 2000 and 06, something like that. Almost 10 years of like I mean, it was odd. Like every 2 weeks, a whole company like, hey, we're closing, 1,000 employees out in the street. And it happened for a while.
It's a good point. Yeah, most people don't like expect like the worst thing to happen or those like what ifs and whatnot. But if you set yourself up the right way the first time, then in the future, if those what ifs and worst case scenarios do happen, then hopefully you can at least be on a better foot instead of it just completely knocking you on your ass.
Right. And be prepared too. So I mean, I always like to be prepared. I was watching Nardo's stream on Sunday, and I watched the replay, and I like the way he thinks, because that's how I think too. I like to anticipate. I learned that by playing baseball for many years,
Nice.
And I was never like the fast kid or whatever. I was always like the bigger kid, slower kid. I knew I needed like an edge. I needed to think 2 plays ahead, 3 plays ahead. If I get the ball, where am I throwing it? What am I doing? Where do I throw? And that type of situation. And that's how I see life now. It's like I feel that I want to be 5 steps ahead of anyone around me, because I feel that that's the best way to be.
I agree, man. Yeah, Hex has definitely given me that opportunity too, whereas normally before I might have had been thinking ahead and whatnot, but yeah, this Hex definitely allows me to not only think like 15 years ahead, but yeah, once you maximize like one area of your life, you mentioned, or maybe it was Maddie, but you start kind of thinking like, okay, this pizza, this $30 pizza might be X amount of Hex. Like, do I really need? You start to realize like, okay, can I maybe sacrifice short term now for a longer term reward in the future? And do I really need this thing that I'm spending money on that's probably not the best for my health? And it's just really cool to see that. Like my family kind of mentions like, Bran, I've never seen you be so like excited about a community and stuff like this, and it's so cool because it goes way beyond just crypto and way beyond just Hex. But it's really cool that as our like just the concept of it, like as our stakes are locked and earning interest every day trustlessly, we're able to free our time up. And I don't know if you ever did trading and whatnot before, but some people, even in traditional market, they get this, they're sold a fallacy, and that they're sold a lie that, oh yeah, I can become this major Wall Street trader and this and that. And in reality, it's the Pareto principle, the 80-20. But in reality, it's like 99.9 to like 0.1 of people lose, and then the rest make it. So
yeah. And then the thing is, like, most of them now in Robinhood and all this stuff, they're trading all kinds of crap. Like, I know during the year, there was a few stocks that the company was on that week going bankrupt, and you would look at the stock on Robinhood and it would be pumping. And you're like, holy crap, what are these people doing? Because most of them don't understand that at any point in time, they could just go to court and say, hey, we can't pay all this. And then all the money that you put in, it's gone. And it's just like, oh, they're just on their phone. They think they're trading, making all this money, but they're wrecking themselves, And I think that's what's going to happen with Bitcoin. Like, they're going to have access through it, through PayPal, through Robinhood and all these apps, and they're going to think they're making all these gains and all these moves. But imagine that, like the second that they tell them they're going to take gains in Robinhood, and they tell them, well, you got to sell them. You got to sell your Bitcoin gains. And if it's someone that thought they were DCAing their crypto entry and they were going to get their keys right after, because they're not going to do research, they're screwed. So,
well, yeah, and yeah, to your point, not only in like the traditional system does that happen, like the bankruptcies and stuff like going to zero, but same thing happens in crypto too. And yeah, the cool thing about Hex and Hexicans and whatnot is there's always people that are newer and whatnot, but this is like the final road where a lot of us that are in Hex, we've had maybe coins that were left on exchanges before. Like I did back in 2017 with Cryptopia and other people before that with Mt. Gox, and Hex teaches you these lessons that, oh, I'm you're responsible for your own coins and things like this, and it's it takes it to another level when you're locking it for Quattro Cinco or any amount of time. It's teaching you that not only do you need to be in possession of, do you need to have access to the private keys and whatnot, but it kind of just teaches you more than your average crypto does. Like when I got into crypto initially, it was buying on an exchange, and I thought I was doing the whole crypto stuff, when in reality I had no idea how deep the rabbit hole went until I looked and kind of went through, and I'm happy I did, because my knowledge of finance and crypto has been so much more expanded since then. But a lot of people can get wrecked if they're not listening to someone that knows what they're doing, or a friend, because most people like even myself, like in 2017, I was, thought I could trade this and that, and join a couple of groups, man, and it feeds onto your ego as well, and yeah. Anyways, it's cool that I don't have to waste my time, staring
Yeah.
at screens anymore. I can hang out with the girlfriend, with the family, or get back into some healthier habits like lifting and exercise, and so it's really cool that we have that opportunity.
True. I know that I had to get, like I was telling you earlier, I had to get out of all those groups. I was in a
Mm-hmm.
5, 10, 15 Facebook groups, and
Yeah.
you start getting fed all these coins and all this stuff and all these moves and all these pumps and all these calls, and it got toxic. So I just started little by little, just getting out of all those groups. Thankfully in the last year, I've been getting out of all the influencers too, because it felt that it was the same thing. It was like, instead of being in Facebook, it was through YouTube. And like Chaos, I was saying, for a while, I noticed that a bunch of them, it's just, I stopped watching their shows, but I still had their notifications. So I would still get their notifications. Every so often would click. But then I noticed it's like, oh, here's my top 5, this, here's my whatever, here's what this coin's going to do. Here's what, and then that's when everyone gets wrecked. Because you're investing on something on Monday, dumping it on Wednesday, buying the next thing on Friday, and then, but after you pay for fees, after you pay for this, that, the dip that it took while you had it, did you actually make any money? And that's not even counting all the hours, like you mentioned, all the hours of charting, all the hours of researching, all the hours of all this wasted time. And at the end of it, that's why I love about Hex, because it's like, all right, you take a dip, that's the day to buy. And you still got as long as you have your t-shirts, you still got your cut. So you still made money, even if it was on a down day. And once people start understanding this, once they keep seeing us in all our live streams that our bags took a 10% dip, and that's the day that we're all hilarious, like super joyful, because it's like, all right, well, today we got a discount. And it's gonna, I mean, I feel that it's just gonna happen, because we can only get gatekept so much, and the gains are just gonna start talking for themselves. So once you say, well, I've locked up my thing for 24 months, and this is how much I did, and this was with the coin just going from half a penny to a penny. And once we don't have to sell ourselves. It's just gonna be like, no, just look at my gains. That's all I can say. We're making 38 APY every other day. And obviously once the stake starts going up, I mean, we've seen what it will do when 90 whatever was locked up. What, 98%? We're still making 3%. So if we're making 3%, let's say that something crazy happens and within the next 3 years, 90% of the coins are locked, and we're making 5% or whatever. Are you kidding me? Like, compared to what? Locking it to a bond right now and then paying negative interest and inflation for the next 5 years. So it's just, right now, there's no other product. I mean, there's just no other tools out there. And you can see all the other coins that are going after staking. This is the new thing now. It's all the other coins that, instead of looking to complete their roadmaps or doing all this stuff, they're looking at staking as their option. So
it's true, man. It's funny how, I was alluding to earlier that like Hex kind of like kicked off like the DeFi craze and all that stuff, but even with Ethereum right now going from the 1.0 proof of work to its 2.0 proof of stake and whatnot, with the Ethereum EIP 155 something, I think 1559, but with what Ethereum is even trying to do right now, Hex already has that solved. And not only does Hex have it solved, but it's got it all audited, all locked up in its, consensus code that's modular. And then, the keys were thrown away. And it's just cool that, you mentioned kind of us going into proof of stake and crypto and stuff like that. But when you really look at what the staking is and whatnot, Hex not only is that true staking coin where it's actually being locked up, it's not where you can just earn a small yield and then trade it back and forth, but It's
And
really
you're not
setting like a
surrendering your
precedent.
keys either. Like that's something that a lot of people don't get.
True.
Like I've heard Richard mention it so many times about Quadriga CX and Cryptopia and all these other founders that just grab their keys and go. Like once people understand that, because I mean, I'm sure there's going to be projects and products that are going to offer all the hype and then say like they're going to pay more than Hex, but then the first thing they're probably going to say is like, you need to give us your keys or you need to give us that control. And that's something that people need to understand. Like you want to stake for 24 hours, stake it for 24 hours, but then you're the one controlling it. You're not
Right.
putting all your Ethereum locked up in there for however long they're going to get locked up. I mean, I'm surprised. I'm very surprised that they locked up all the coins that they were thinking of, because I thought there was no way. I was like, no, I don't see it happening. People just surrendering their ETH that way, but they did. And I mean, I wish them well, because I mean, I want Ethereum to do good because it's obviously going to benefit Hex, but
True.
it's funny that it's like they're using what's already working in Hex.
It's true. No, it's true, man. And yeah, even after Hex was launched with its first instance of like the digital certificate of deposit, but it's really way more advanced than that. It's funny how many saw what was working and what clearly is the leader and tried to copy that. And I think that's a something that is something that we should recognize and something that we should see as valuable. If someone, especially like your competitor or someone that's in a different product or project, if they're copying you with what's working like in Hex and whatnot with the burning and all this stuff, then I think that shows that we're on not only the right side of history, but Hex itself is doing things the right way, and we've seen that with its 100% uptime. Like not even Bitcoin has that, which is cool.
Yeah, that's true.
And,
I mean, but that's the thing. It's like once like the normies or the no coiners start seeing the value in that, that's when we're going to be able to bring them in way easier. That will be to bring them to Bitcoin or Ethereum.
True.
Because it's powerful. Anyone that understands, the power of controlling your own retirement or controlling how long, where it's going to be invested. Because that's something that anyone controlling their 401ks, they don't. You get a little paper when you start your job, and then you decide how much you're going to put, how much they're going to match you, how much they're going to take or whatever. But then that's about it. They're going to give you their list of the companies that they want you to put your money in. And if the market goes up, market goes down, it's going against inflation, whatever happens to that money. So a lot of people are going to lose a lot of money here in the next few years, because it's 6-7 trillion, whatever money they've been printing, and it's going to go against that. So, I mean, whoever didn't think of even the money that they were given, the $1,200 stimulus, I put that into Hex, and I mean, I got lucky because I kept seeing everyone that was going and wasting that money, buying TVs, doing all this stuff, and I was like, this is pre-print money. So this is not $1,200. This is more probably like 20 grand in like future money. That unless you're finding a way to make your $1,200 into 30 whatever green, this is money that there's just coming out of, so I got lucky that I thought that way, and I locked it up. At first, I actually bought silver with it, because when I got the money in April, like silver was taking such a big dump. I think it went down to like $14 or something. So with premiums and all that stuff, I think I got like $18 per silver, and then it just went all the way up to like 31 or whatever. So the second that I saw it in August, I was like, I need to sell. I made my money, but then I took that money and then threw it into Hex. So I'm very lucky, because the number that the stimulus for Hex says, I'm actually over that number, because I doubled the money before I put it into Hex. And so I got very, very lucky, because at that moment, all I kept thinking is I need to double, triple, quadruple my money, because we're at a moment that they're printing all this money. And a lot of people keep talking about the Great Reset, like it's going to be this someone pressing a button that says there's a reset. You're like, no, bro, we're living the reset right now. You know, they're printing all this money, and whoever's not figuring out a way to keep their purchasing power, they're on the wrong side of the tracks. It's that simple. If your money's not on Bitcoin, silver, Hex, or any other asset that's not USD, you're losing right now. And it's probably going to take till the end of all this mess in 6-7 years till people go back and be like, oh crap. So that was the reason. Like it wasn't like an actual date or movement or whatever. It's like this started in like probably September of 2019, whenever the banks couldn't, square their sheet and they had to go with the repo market. Like that's when for me the the reset started, because that's when if the banks can't square their books, then that's it. I mean, what else is there? But it's like nobody saw it. Nobody saw it till like March when the virus and all this stuff. It's what caused supposedly like this financial situation, but it's been happening. It's been happening since 2008. So
true. Yeah. And to your point, yeah, most people they're kind of like something will be happening, and then usually the majority of people don't really react until it's already happened, or like as far as dips go, like, oh, shoulda, coulda, woulda, but it's like, no, that opportunity was then, and it's not there anymore. Other people with that proper investment knew that was an opportunity, and so anyways, it's cool, man. Well, I guess let's see. Cool. Hexray Doc is saying they just joined. I guess is there anything that maybe we haven't covered that you kind of want to go over, or should we call it here for kind of the first?
I think it's good. Video? I think it was a good stream.
Cool.
I mean, we covered a little bit of everything, so I think we're good.
Nice, dude. Well, let me just show them. So I know your Twitter is right there. Cool. So people can go to 1 second. So yeah, twitter.com/twim787 is
that's 787 from Puerto Rico. That's Puerto Rico area code 787.
That's cool, man. OG.
What I wanted to do though, Brant, like I had done a little model.
Yeah.
And I wanted to show, because I want people to understand how like t-shirts could actually pump in value in the future. And I've seen some people, they've done really cool charts, but I wanted people to visualize it in a different way. So let me.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like a no sound vid, because.
No worries, yeah.
Let me.
Yeah, no worries. That sounds great.
Because I feel that people would get a kick out of it.
Hell yeah, man. Yeah, sometimes you can explain something 1,000 times over and over in Word, or even something like written information, but video even without audio can help a lot of people get the memo. So
right.
So that's Benny. Okay, cool. Let me share the screen here. Perfect. So yeah, this is his Twitter. Nice, perfect.
All righty. So what I did was I took a screenshot of the price, and then obviously I manipulated these numbers, but then what I'm trying for people to see is that when we're at a double, when we're at double the share price, which right now it's at 16,000 hex, right? 16,700, whatever it is. But
yeah,
basically once it's the double the price, and then we start pumping hex price, then this is how much the shares are going to be worth. So we have to always remember that this number is always going to go up, and then this number we can't control. So that's why I've seen someone like Hodl Dog mention $25,000 t-shirt, and I want people to understand that that's a very, very obtainable number.
True.
Because shares just pump in a completely different way. Like for example, if we were to do, let's see.
Oh, it's all good. I like that. It's a good. As it's loading, that's a good visualization. I mean, that actual share number, that 32,000. To your point, right now it's 1667, whatever it is. But that number, according to the smart contract that's audited and whatnot, can never go down, and so it's always going to cost more hex for shares. And so it's that's a nice visualization, man. I mean, a lot of us thought 1 penny was such a great price, which it is.
And
but
I've done it with like $1. So if it's $1 and 64,000 hex, I've done it with, just playing with the different numbers. Let's say we stay at 25 cents, but then we're at 120. Obviously, this would be 10, whatever years down the road. But then it could be 34,000 if it's $1, but then it's 128,000 per T share. So I wanted to do that visual because I don't think a lot of people would understand. Like, it's almost like we're stuck and like the price is here. The price is here now, like at $140, $150. But that's because we're at 16,000 hex per t-shirt. And then it's because we're at a cent. But then the second that all these two start going up and up, I mean, anything could happen, So I wanted to show that visual real quick because it's very, it's very interesting when I see it. I've done the math a few times, and then I know that it could go up and up and up. And then if we don't take advantage of that here soon, within the next 2 years, 3 years, we're probably going to have good prices for the next 2 years. But in the future, that share price is never going to go down. So at one point it'll be 32, at one point it'll be 50, at one point it'll be 100,000 hex per t-shirt per t-shirt. And then if it's 50 cent hex, and you're paying 25, 50 grand for one t-shirt.
Myself included, but some people definitely got something out of that. So Nardo says, awesome visual. Hexray Doc says, this is a very good way to look at T-share price. I like it.
Awesome.
Crypto King says, post your Hexify flag, brother, repping Hexarico.
Nice.
But yeah, in the States now. So let's see. Last thing, we'll do just a couple more. Okay, they're kind of talking about the OA and the pricing on 1 inch and whatnot. But to your point, when it comes to the actual, in some other cryptos, it's more simple and whatnot. But as far as the share pricing and whatnot goes, it's so cool that actual amount of hex per T-share never goes down; it only goes up. And then when you factor that the actual cost of the hex at the time, those multiply, and you can get some crazy numbers, that you mentioned. And Kareem said kind of a similar thing that you mentioned, maybe 1-2 years and whatnot, and then eventually it's just going to be like, holy shit, we never thought it'd be $60,000 a T-share or whatever it is. And longer pays better will always exist, where if you stake around, what is it, 36 something days, 3,600. Okay, 3641, where you will maximize your T-shares. You'll get up to 3x the T-shares as opposed to just staking for 1 day. But it's a really cool cryptocurrency. The concept in game theory, I know you and I talked a little bit about video games and whatnot, but the actual game theory that goes on in Hex and has gone on to create this is just insane. Like, it's got everything you'd want, and it's just so cool to see it's complete.
It's all the pumpamentals. I'm telling you, like, every time Richard would mention that word, I would be on the chat just annoying everyone. I'm just here for the pumpamentals. And but it's true. It makes you think. It makes you, and the fact that you can see all the charts and see all the stats. I'm a stats person because, like I said, I used to play baseball. So especially in the last, 10 years, baseball has gone into all this, stat super mode where, everything gets a stat. How many hits you get when you have 2 strikes, how many this, where do you hit, where do you position what player in defense. And it's cool that you can gamify crypto. You can. So I really love that.
Yeah, no, to your point, like everything does seem to be getting gamified, and my three older brothers, myself, not so much into sports, but yeah, my older brothers share that commonality with you, where yeah, when the fantasy football starts, they're on like 2 or 3 different teams and whatnot. And anyways, it's cool that that Hex has those I guess you could say like addicting or like rewarding things where it's almost like competing with yourself, or competing on the shares, and knowing that when you end your stake, like you're also losing those, you're burning those T shares. So kind of just keeping things like that in perspective, because 10 years from now you might not have the same amount of T shares that you have today, depending on how you stake and what kind of profit taking strategy you have. So yeah, man, I appreciate you coming on and doing the stream. I mean, I don't see this as the last time. This is just the first time. So I'd love to continue having you on whenever you feel comfortable. And it's really cool to interact with the community. On my wall over here that you can't really see as much, I've got some photos of like when myself, Gary, and Big Pep did a stream, and have had the opportunity to meet a lot of really cool Hexicans and like-minded Hexicans. So it's really cool to hear a little bit more about yourself and your story and whatnot. And we'll definitely have to have you on sometime again soon, and do it again, and maybe we'll bring in some more Hexicans too to make the conversation even more interesting.
Cool. I'm down, Bran. So thank you so much, and thank you to the Hexican. So I'll see you guys in the chats.
Awesome. Well, I'm gonna let you get going. I'm gonna just close out the stream here. So everyone, thank you so much for joining me. Myself and IdentityBlock, we were chatting in Telegram, and I was saying like, hey, dude, I saw you on the FN Hangout on Friday, and I've always seen you in my chat room. Like, since you showed your face once, would you be able to join my stream sometime? So I'm happy that he was accepting, and that we were able to schedule a stream rather soon. So yeah, for everyone, I didn't really get to interact with the chat room and comment section as much as I'd like. I've got about 27 more minutes until Gary starts his thing, so I'll kind of wrap up here, and I'll join Gary and Freddie Quotes for their stream that they're doing. But yeah, appreciate everyone in the community. I mean, there's so many people that are in the chat right now that are saying that they enjoyed it, and IdentityBlock is great. I can always see like the second that someone goes on Discourse Syndicate, or if I'm meeting them for the first time, you can usually kind of get like a vibe and whatnot. And with the Hexicans, it's always been 99.99% of the time, it's always been a good vibe and a cool vibe. And so many of, like I said to IdentityBlock before I let him go, is a lot of us Hexicans are on a similar page, and it's really cool that I can be a part of a community with many of you guys and gals as well that can think out 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, and even longer down the road. Just because Hex, the maximum stake length that you can do is 5,555 days, doesn't mean that it just ends at that day. I mean, a lot of us, myself included, when those earlier stakes get undone, some of the principal and some of the interest will be scraped off to more Quattro Cinco stakes. So it's definitely something that I'm only 24, so I plan on being a part of the Hex community for as long as I can go, and it's really cool to have everyone else as well. So David, he's in the chat, and so is Nate J. A hell of a show, Bran. David says, if you can survive in the Discourse Syndicate stream, you can get on any stream, and that's so true. And for anyone that's watching that maybe hasn't been on stream before, but you want to, if you ever want to get over that fear, just tear the Band-Aid off rapidly and just jump on. You can do it with your phone or with the computer. Some people, it's easier for them to do it with their phone because it natively has just your webcam or a front-facing camera built into it. but on the computer it's a little bit easier for myself. And it's really cool to see people continuing to step up. I mean, myself, when I first joined RG3 X amount of months ago on Discourse Syndicate, not only is it kind of like nerve-wracking because you've watched them the whole time, but also my setup at the time on mobile and with Bluetooth headphones were not necessarily working the greatest. So just know that, yeah, if you ever come on a stream, whether it be Discourse Syndicate or mine, that you know, there's no judgment and whatnot. And especially for the people like Benny Blanco, he's been getting on streams recently, and we also saw him on. I'll send the link. We also saw him on Unwrecked Pirate. They had a stream last night, and Benny joined them as well with David Feeder. So it's cool to see that once you get over that first hurdle, the second, third, and fourth and whatnot streams, they're not as bad as your mind had thought it would be. So a lot of times we can, before we actually do something, we can think it's going to be like the worst possible outcome, when in reality it usually never ends up being that way. So yeah, Jazz as well, Jazz says good job, guys. So thank you. And then Nate J and Crypto King as well. Good to see you too, man. I know this is another person that I think is in Japan right now, but I've seen him in the community for a while, and saw him recently on, I think it was Discourse Syndicate stream that he joined the other day. So that was really cool to see. So your color is looking great. Not a Smurf blue anymore. That's funny. Yeah, I'm at my girlfriend's place. So I'm not at my girlfriend's place. I'm at my house. So I'm not sure if at my girlfriend's place there's a, maybe it's the lighting that I need to change, but glad that there's no Smurf blue. So yeah, I guess for kind of my rolling out and my last few words was Hexotic. Nice, dude. You're still live. Yeah, I'm still live. I'm kind of just finishing up. Myself and IdentityBlock, we had the last few things to say, and we've got 22 minutes before Gary with Funding Jim and Freddie Quotes go live. So yeah, I guess if anyone's not familiar, you can reach me at BallietBran.com. That's a website that I own the domain to. I've never built a website, so I'm kind of slowly but surely adding stuff to that. And, youtube.com/BallietBran. Pretty much any social media, you can find me at BallietBran. Crypto King says, trying to get high impact flicks on board. See my tweet. I posted his Ethereum address, sent him 5,000 hex. Thanks, Hexicans. Cool. Yeah, I think it's one thing that IdentityBlock and myself were talking before the stream was it's really cool to see someone like Hexo not only kind of being like the leader and whatnot, as far as he was kind of what inspired RG3 and whatnot, but it's cool to see him tackling the Twitch platform and staying on there, because that's a really cool opportunity that we can take advantage of. And it's just like the snowball effect with Hex, where that snowball is just rolling and rolling, getting bigger and bigger, and Hex is going to have its virality phase and stage, and we're still in the early adoption phase, if you ask me, with all of the gatekeeping and even the FUD that's just completely unsubstantiated. Hex really is that opportunity for those that know how to think for themselves and that knows how to do their own research. So it's so funny, and it's actually not even funny, it's disgusting. But it's so disgusting to see these like influencers and top 5 cryptocurrencies and this and that they always say, oh, I'm not a financial advisor and do your own research and blah blah blah. But in reality, the stuff that they're covering is absolute shit if you were to even do your own research on that. So happy for all the Hexicans that know how to think for themselves and know how to discern, someone that's just pulling your leg versus someone that's actually being authentic and a product that's actually authentic. So Richard's never asked for money or any of that to start Hex. All of Hex, the audits, everything, the code was all done before launch. And that really goes to show you what kind of person Richard is. He wants to give everyone that good opportunity, similar to what he had with Bitcoin when he was mining it. So So in my opinion, Hex is a great it's a great cryptocurrency. It's the best one that exists in my opinion. You compare it to Bitcoin or any of these other altcoins, and not only is it the most secure, but it's got 100% uptime and it does what it says it does. It you're the one paying yourself when you lock Hex and when you treat it the way it's supposed to. So for each year, if you were to stake, say, like 1 day versus 1 year, if you were to stake 1 year, you get 20% more, and that goes all the way 20% more shares, and that goes all the way up to 3 times the shares, which is at 3641 days, 3,641. So yeah, Crypto King says Brian's got over 560,000 subscribers. If he interviews Richard, that'd be nice. Yeah, that'd be cool. I mean, I know Richard definitely doesn't deserve petty interviews, and like the people that should be interviewing him and should be asking that opportunity should have more credibility than what we've seen in the past. And I'm really excited to see someone like Richard have have such, I guess, audacity. Like he knows what the hell is right. He's updated his worldview, and he's constantly learning, just like a lot of us are. So that's all I'm going to say. You can go to allmylinks.com/BallietBran if you want to find any more of my links. My Ethereum donation address is there as well. If anyone wants to, feel free. Otherwise, Gary and Freddie Quotes, they're going to be live in about 18 minutes from now. So I'm just going to share the link real quick here. We're going to share the screen just to show the actual channel. So Gary's quite the stream, man. He